ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ, ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਇਸ ਖਾਸ ਪੇਸ਼ਕਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ। ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਤੋਂ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਜਸਲੀਨ ਕੌਰ। ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਰੋਨਾ ਵਾਇਰਸ ਦੇ 8,55,000 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਦਰਜ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾ ਚੁੱਕੇ ਹਨ, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 3 ਲੱਖ ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ। ਜੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਸਿਰਫ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੀ, ਤੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ 1,48,000 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਕੇਸਿਸ ਔਰਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ, ਜਦਕਿ 1,10,000 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਕੇਸਿਸ 20 ਤੋਂ 39 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਦੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ। ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਰੋਨਾ ਵਾਇਰਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੁਣ ਤੱਕ 7,000 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਡੈਥਸ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕੀਆਂ ਹਨ, ਜਿਸ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ 47 ਦੇ ਕਰੀਬ ਮੌਤਾਂ 80 ਤੋਂ ਉੱਪਰ ਉਮਰ ਵਰਗ ਦੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਰਜ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਹਨ। ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਲੌਂਗ ਟਰਮ ਕੇਅਰ ਹੋਮਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਆਊਟਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਡਿਕਲੇਅਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਦੱਸ ਦਈਏ ਕਿ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ 127 ਲੌਂਗ ਟਰਮ ਕੇਅਰ ਹੋਮਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਆਊਟਬ੍ਰੇਕ ਡਿਕਲੇਅਰਡ ਹੈ। ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਲੌਂਗ ਟਰਮ ਕੇਅਰ ਸੈਂਟਰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੁਝ ਸੁਧਾਰ ਵੀ ਲਿਆਂਦੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਲੌਂਗ ਟਰਮ ਕੇਅਰ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਮੈਰੀਲੀ ਫੁਲਰਟਨ ਨੇ ਕਲਚਰਲ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਰਚੁਅਲ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਵੀ ਕੀਤੀ।
And no doubt the last year has been a challenge. We've seen many issues raised by COVID-19 and one of them is obviously staffing. And so we're really proud to be able to announce the spaces for 6,000 new PSW positions in the accelerated PSW training program, along with 2,200 additional spaces that are already underway with students as we speak. And this is a $115 million commitment that will be provided fully funded programs for these 8,200 individuals. And we're looking to have this program completed in 24 weeks. There will be 12 weeks of in-class training that will also be combined with some long-term care home experience. And then the following 12 weeks will be in long-term care homes with a very important experiential learning part. And so we're really looking forward to have this additional group of staff that will be supported at our 24 colleges across Ontario. So this will start in April, and we'll be looking to have these the graduates in the field by the fall. So thank you for your interest.
Thank you so much, Minister, for your time. My question to you is, we see that frustrations are growing among seniors and caregivers who are living independently. They are anxiously waiting to know when it will be their turn to get a shot. In some of the other provinces, seniors in the general community have already started getting vaccinated, but under Ontario's current plan, vaccinations for seniors in general community will start in March, and depending on the supply, some estimate that it could be until July. My question is, why government is not prioritizing seniors before medical professionals who have a significantly lower chance of dying from the virus? Why government is not following the recommendations of National Advisory Committee on Immunizations?
We look at the priority of the government, long-term care residents and long-term care staff as the priority group for the initial vaccinations. And we rolled that out. We were able to get them coming to the hospitals while the manufacturer of the vaccine required, particularly Pfizer, required it to be held at one location after delivery. Once we had the manufacturer's approval to move Pfizer to the long-term care homes, we were really able to vaccinate significantly larger numbers. And then there was a pipeline disruption in terms of the vaccine availability, which was not anticipated. And so that's something that we've had to overcome by making sure we continue to vaccinate using what we have while we wait for the additional resources of vaccine to come from the federal government. So it is the federal government that procures the vaccine. The province of Ontario has the ability, great ability and capacity to actually get those vaccines into arms. What we need is the vaccine. But early days, it was important for us to follow the manufacturer's guidelines and requirements in terms of the storage and the delivery mechanisms that were to make sure that the vaccine was effective and actually did what it was supposed to do. Other provinces didn't necessarily follow the same approach that we did, but that was a decision that we made to follow the guidelines. We also have to understand that our population in Ontario is about 3 times what it is in Alberta and BC. And so we have that many more people to vaccinate that would be in that priority group of the long-term care residents and staff and the essential caregivers. So we are vaccinating them as well. We've had very good uptake with the residents, almost 95%. Who have received the dose that wanted one. And so this is actually everyone who wanted a dose got one. And that amounts to about almost 95% of the residents in long-term care. But our capacity is there. We need the vaccine.
All right, Minister, thank you so much for your time once again. फिलहाल समा हो गया एक छोटी सी ब्रेक था ब्रेक तो बाद जल्द हाजिर होंदे हैं ब्रेक तो बाद ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਤੋਂ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਸੂਬੇ ਭਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਸਮਗਲਿੰਗ ਨੂੰ ਰੋਕਣ ਲਈ ਨਵੇਂ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਡਕ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਬੀਤੇ ਦਿਨੀ ਪ੍ਰੈਸ ਕਾਨਫਰੰਸ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਬੋਧਨ ਕਰਦਿਆਂ ਆਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਿਸਮ ਦਾ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਹੋਏਗਾ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ ਦੇ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਸਮਗਲਿੰਗ ਵਿਰੋਧੀ ਰਣਨੀਤੀ ਉੱਤੇ $307 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਨਿਵੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕਾਇਮ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਪੇਸ਼ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਖਾਸ ਰਿਪੋਰਟ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਸਮਗਲਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਸੰਬੰਧ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵੇਂ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੋਸ਼ਣ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਹਿਫਾਜ਼ਤ ਉੱਤੇ ਧਿਆਨ ਕੇਂਦਰਿਤ ਕਰਨ ਅਤੇ ਲਾਅ ਐਨਫੋਰਸਮੈਂਟ ਅਧਿਕਾਰੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਹੱਥ ਹੋਰ ਮਜ਼ਬੂਤ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ ਇਹ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਲਿਆਂਦਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਡਕ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਆਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਿਸਮ ਦਾ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਹੋਵੇਗਾ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ ਦੀ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਸਮਗਲਿੰਗ ਵਿਰੋਧੀ ਰਣਨੀਤੀ ਉੱਤੇ $307 ਮਿਲੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਨਿਵੇਸ਼ ਨਾਲ ਕਾਇਮ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਡਕ ਫੋਰਡ ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਆਖਿਆ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਨਵਾਂ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਅਤੇ ਮੌਜੂਦਾ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੋਧ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਾਗਰੂਕਤਾ ਪੈਦਾ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸ਼ੋਸ਼ਣ ਦਾ ਸ਼ਿਕਾਰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੀ ਹਿਫਾਜ਼ਤ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ ਅਤੇ ਸਰਵਾਈਵਰਸ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤੇ ਮੁਜਰਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਵਾਬਦੇਹੀ ਠਹਿਰਾਵਾਂਗੇ
Our government is taking further action against this despicable crime. The legislation builds on the $307 million investment in our anti-human trafficking strategy and will help raise awareness, protect victims, support survivors, and hold offenders accountable. This legislation is the first of its kind in Canada, and it is desperately needed here in Ontario. Our province has become a hub for human trafficking with the most police-reported incidents in the entire country. We will not allow this to continue here in Ontario. This new bill proposes to strengthen the ability of children's aid societies and law enforcement to protect exploited children in many new ways. It supports more survivors and the people who support them in obtaining restraining orders against traffickers, with specific consideration for Indigenous survivors. It increases penalties for traffickers who interfere with a child in the care of Children's Aid Society.
ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਹਿਊਮਨ ਟ੍ਰੈਫਿਕਿੰਗ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਡੇ ਦੇ ਮੌਕੇ ਤੇ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਐਲਾਨੇ ਗਏ ਨਵੇਂ ਕਾਨੂੰਨ ਸੰਬੰਧੀ ਖਾਸ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਲਈ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਲਾਈਨ ਤੇ ਮੌਜੂਦ ਹਨ ਓਨਟਾਰੀਓ ਦੇ ਐਸੋਸੀਏਟ ਮਿਨਿਸਟਰ ਆਫ ਚਿਲਡਰਨ ਐਂਡ ਵਿਮਨਸ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਜਿਲ ਡਨਲੌਪ Hello Minister, thank you so much for joining PTC Punjabi once again.
Thank you for having me today.
Pleasure for us as well. Minister, on the National Human Trafficking Awareness Day, Ontario government introduced a new legislation and also made some amendments to the existing laws. We would like to know how these proposed changes would support Ontario government's response to human trafficking.
Well, that's a great question. As you said, today is Human Trafficking Awareness Day across Ontario, and what a perfect day to announce new legislation as well. I'm the Minister of Minister of Women and Children's Issues, and so our ministry, does have a piece in the legislation making amendments to the Child, Youth and Family Services Act to really strengthen the supports, because we know that children who are involved in the child welfare system are particularly vulnerable to being trafficked. So ensuring that that area is strengthened to support those young people is particularly important.
Minister, under this new legislation, what non-personal information government is planning to collect from various sectors and how will government use it?
Well, as we said, it's a multi-ministerial approach to the strategy and the work that we're doing with the legislation. So there's the amendments to the act, as I mentioned, the Child, Youth and Family Services Act, but also the hotel registry. So the work that we're doing there to collect information. And I'm very happy with the work of the Hotel and Motel Association, that the work they're doing to educate their staff to look for the signs of human trafficking and to report that to police services. We're also looking across the trucking industry and the work that those sectors are doing too to help increase awareness and really to protect young people out there, because it's a disgusting crime that is happening across Ontario. And unfortunately, Ontario is the hub for trafficking in Canada. So this legislation introduced today will be the first of its kind in Canada. So I'm very proud of the work that we're doing here, but we couldn't have done it without consultations with the people on the front line, working at agencies to support victims, also police officers, but really those survivors who've come forward and played a key role in developing the legislation and the strategy that we announced.
Absolutely. Human trafficking is a big concern, and it is one of the fastest growing crimes worldwide. Minister, why do you think that, why we are seeing this growth? Why Canada is the major target for human traffickers, with 90% of the victims coming from Canada?
Well, it is an underreported crime, so we do recognize that it could even be higher. But I think the more that we can do as government and working with communities and frontline agencies to provide the supports available, that's when you're going to see more people coming forward if they feel that they are being supported, because victims are, the average age is 13. So these young people are being manipulated and lured into trafficking, thinking that these people care about them, love them, could be a boyfriend, to find out that they're robbing them of their dignity and everything they have. So we need to raise that awareness and education for those victims to know that there are supports available for them in their communities, and to be able to come forward and exit trafficking.
Minister, as you mentioned that Ontario is a hub for human trafficking. In 2016, around 360 cases were reported to the police. I think more than 30 people were arrested, but only 2 were convicted. Why do we have this less conviction rate in comparison to the cases and arrests made by the police?
Well, that is, the strategy that we announced last year is a 5-year, $307 million strategy. And it really has those 2 pieces, is supporting survivors, but also holding offenders accountable. And I think if you even just look at the co-leads of the strategy, myself and the Solicitor General, it really shows that, that is the important pieces, that if we are providing the supports for victims and survivors to come forward, that they're able to then testify in court and to hold those people accountable and to put them away. So it really is providing those supportive services to ensure that we're putting traffickers in jail, because this is a disgusting crime that's happening across all of our communities, not just in the urban centers, but in our rural areas as well. And traffickers are using the 400 series highways to move girls around. So we need to be doing more. We need to be educating the public. And, I thank you for doing this interview today, because the more that we can do to raise that awareness and let people know what's happening, what to look for in our young people, that's how we're going to end this crime.
Minister, as you're talking about educating people, human trafficking is like a modern day slavery. How is government planning to educate young girls, especially educate the young generation, young population, so that they know how to make smart decisions and they know how to protect themselves?
It's a great point, and I thank the Minister of Education for the work that they've been doing. And when they introduced the new health and physical education curriculum, it does include human trafficking, and they talk about healthy relationships and talking about consent. And we were with a group of students today in grade 11 and 12, and they were saying, they wish they had learned about this when they were younger. With the average age of trafficking being just 13 years old, we have to have these conversations with young people earlier and to give them the tools necessary to recognize if they're being lured. And actually this past summer, we announced a app that was being used for teachers in the classrooms to walk young people through scenarios where they kind of put that pressure on, what would you do if you were in this situation, but you were in a safe environment to be able to have the conversations. So, we are doing a lot of work with education at an earlier age, and not just to protect themselves, but also to protect their friends and classmates too. To recognize if something is going on, something's different with your friend, to know that you can go to a teacher or tell your family. But I think it's also important that parents recognize these signs too and understand that it's happening. And what a great opportunity on Human Trafficking Awareness Day for people to learn more. And I always suggest people go to the ontario.ca/human trafficking website to learn more about the things to look for, signs and symptoms, but also what supports are available in your own communities.
Absolutely. Talking about the survivors, once the girls escape from this, they do need some sort of transitional services. Do we have this in the province? I think one of the struggles the helping centers are facing these days is where to put these girls when they're out.
Yeah, and when we did our consultations and talking with women's shelters, like the supports necessary for a victim of human trafficking are much different than a woman who is in a shelter due to domestic abuse. So we need to ensure that the proper supports are in place. And that's why it's so important that we listen to the advice from survivors of human trafficking who've helped to develop this strategy and are leading organizations out there with with that firsthand knowledge of what works, what they need. But you said having those transitional supports in place and then moving on to training and employment when that time comes. It's all very important to allow a survivor to move forward with her life.
Absolutely. Also, Minister, is government planning on bringing the peer mentoring program with the help of survivors so that they can share their experiences with the victims and provide the support they need?
Yeah, we have, and actually some of the organizations that recently received funding, there was a call to action for survivor-led organizations and mentorship and supports moving forward were pieces of that, those organizations that were successful.
Minister, we hope that more awareness will be created against human trafficking and more people will come forward and take a step against human trafficking and help in stopping this crime. In the end, any message for the viewers?
Well, I just encourage everyone to learn more, to recognize that it's happening in our communities. And the more that we can do to raise awareness amongst young people and communities is so important. It will be the one thing that we can all do to end human trafficking in Ontario.
Thank you so much, Minister Jill Dunlop, for joining PTC Punjabi once again and sharing your information with our viewers.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਅੱਜ ਦੀ ਖਾਸ ਪੇਸ਼ਕਸ਼। ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਸਵਾਲ ਹੈ ਜਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਣਾ ਕੋਈ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤੇ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਲਿਖ ਕੇ ਭੇਜੋ feedback@ptcnetwork.com ਤੇ ਮਿਲਾਂਗੇ ਅਗਲੇ ਹਫਤੇ। ਉਦੋਂ ਤੱਕ ਲਈ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਦਿਓ ਇਜਾਜ਼ਤ ਅਤੇ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਦੀਆਂ ਖਬਰਾਂ ਲਈ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬਣੇ ਰਹੋ PTC ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ।